is that God is a very relational God. He's the one who created relationships. He's the one who created love. He is love. And today, I'm going to be talking about unnatural love. How many of you guys in this room have a hard time understanding how to have a relationship with somebody you can't physically see, touch, smell, or hear? Let's just be real. I actually have a hard time with that. Okay? And I live 24/7 in a Bible college. Okay? How many other guys? I ask a lot of questions. You guys can respond, feel free, whatever. So there's a couple of people in this room who have, thank you so much, Jonathan, for the water. There's a couple people who have trouble with that. I am one of those. And so I went on a search, and am still currently on the search, of how to understand God's love practically. Okay? I'm going to lead you to a point. It's one of my favorite books. It's called Steps to Christ. And Steps to Christ, chapter 1, it starts off with this. It says, God has bound our hearts to him by unnumbered tokens in heaven and in earth, through the things of nature and through the deepest, tenderest earthly ties that human hearts can know. He has sought to reveal himself to us. Now let me ask you this. What is the deepest, tenderest earthly tie a human heart can know? Mothers, let me ask you that. What is the deepest, tenderest earthly tie that you've ever experienced? Mrs. Gomez. The children? Yeah. Yep. You know, a mother's love for her child. What about anybody else? You're raising your hand? Oh, I was like, man, this girl's in love. Yes, sir.
I've experienced a lot with fathers, men, their love for their mother.
Okay. Their love for their mother, and your love for their mother as well, you know? It's like the connection that you have with another human being. You know, the deepest, tenderest earthly tie a human heart can know is love. But it continues in the chapter in Steps to Christ, and it says, but these are imperfect representations of his love. I love this. I'm just going to move this down here just so I can move around. I move around a lot when I speak. That's like what you're not supposed to do in speech class, but I can't stand still. God has shown his love through these things. He says, he's like, even if a mother forgets their suckling child, I will never forget you. You guys, that was the first thing you guys said and probably came to your mind, your connection to your child. But God says, a mother will forget their children, but I will never forget you. There's more aspects, there's more relationships in the Bible. Relationships are all over the Bible. But there's one in particular that stands out to me. Okay? It's the book of Hosea. Let's go to Hosea chapter 1. This is one of my favorite books. No, this is actually my favorite book in the whole Bible. The book of Hosea. It's pretty strong in its language. It's pretty straightforward. How many of you guys have never had an experience with the book of Hosea? Raise your hands. I had never, ever read the book of Hosea before this. You know? I had never, ever gone through it. You know, some of these little books of the Bible kind of get lost behind, you know, the book of John or the book of James. You know, these really famous books. But the book of Hosea is one of my favorite stories in the Bible. You guys are going to soon see why. So Hosea chapter 1, verse 2. It begins saying, when the Lord began to speak by Hosea, the Lord said to Hosea, go take yourself a wife of harlotry and children of harlotry, for the land has committed great harlotry by departing from the Lord. So it's the details that matter in this story, I've realized, after studying really deeply. How many times had the Lord spoken to Hosea before this? stop the sermon right here. I'll wait until somebody answers. 0. Somebody said 0? How can you take that from the verse and from the text? This is the principle that I teach my children when, I call them my children, yeah. They're my students, but I feel like they're my children. So, how can you take that principle from the Bible?
When God began.
Perfect. It said God began to speak to Hosea. Imagine if you heard God's voice for the first time. A young man who is unmarried, and he says, Manny, go marry a prostitute. The first thing he tells me. What if he told you that, Philip?
Like, no. No.
I'm sorry, guys. Sorry. We got any single unmarried men here? All right. How would you feel, Joshua?
Back then, I'd been like, you're crazy. Now the longer relationship with Christ is like, I don't know if I like the Lord. Your will, not my will.
Either way, I don't think it would have been a very necessarily pleasant experience in the moment, or in general, as we will see in this book. It blew my mind. I'm like, God, what? Why? Why would you make him do this? But it says, for the land has committed great harlotry from departing from the Lord. He's making an illustration. So many times, we deceive ourselves in thinking, oh, we're good Christians. Look at us. We got all dressed up. Bro, I actually really do like your shirt, though. Each one of us, we like to come to church on Sabbath and be like, oh, I'm a good Christian, come to church, it's not like we walk around like, look at me, but in reality, sometimes we think oh, we're okay because we do good. But in reality, God has painted this story because it is our story. It is my story. It continues in verse 3. Hosea said, it says he went and took Gomer, the son of Diblaim, and she conceived and bore him a son. Okay? She bore him a son. Call his name Jezreel, and there's an explanation of his name. Okay, so she bore Hosea a son. We'll continue in the story, and I'll come back and illustrate it. But I really believe in this time, there was a connection. There was a love between Hosea and Gomer. There was the fire. Maybe the first 2 years of marriage, there was that attraction. There was that genuine love for one another. But verse 6 says she conceived again and bore a daughter. And then verse 8 says, then when she had weaned, though Ruhamah, she conceived and bore a son. What difference do you notice from verse 3, verse 6, and verse 8? Yeah. Yes. Right there. Verse 3 specifically says, bore him a son. But verse 6 and 8 doesn't point to who the father is. So you can see the relationship right there. You can see kind of the progression or regression. At first God calls him, he tells the single young Hosea, he says, Hosea, go marry that prostitute. He marries the prostitute, and by faith, then he goes and he has a connection. He falls in love, and for the people married, I feel like for myself, that'd probably be one of the biggest hurts in my life. Is somebody who I trusted and gave everything to leave me and go with somebody else and bear their children. It'd be the biggest pain for me. I can only imagine for Hosea. But this is exactly what happened to him. How would you feel? Betrayed, to say the least, right? Pastor Gomez, how about you? How would you feel? Not a good thing. At all. What about you, sir? know, I'm not even gonna go there. He's like, you know. I see this, and I look at, it's really easy to look at Gomer. It's really easy to look at the wife and be like, what is wrong with you? Like, how could you do this? But in condemning her, we condemn ourselves. In pointing the finger at her and saying, why would you do that? He only treated you right. He was only following the Lord. Why? We condemn ourselves. I want to go to the next point that stood out to me. Hosea chapter 2, verse 5, actually. Hosea chapter 2, verse 5. We see the picture. We see it in our lives, okay? Let's paint the picture. We leave God, okay? Those moments where we leave God and go and conceive sin, as James talks about. You know, sin is a conception, actually. It is born. It is something that is not accidental. It's by choice, okay? And we see every time where we choose to conceive sin, and then, but the question is, what is the underlying reason? Why? Okay? And this is the part where it gets really personal with me, and a lot of things that I've been recently really trying to figure out and go through and really tackle. But it says, Hosea chapter 2, verse 5. It says, for their mother, or Manny, has played the harlot. She who conceived them, or sin, has behaved shamefully. And catch this. This is the reason why. You see the root in the heart issue right here. It says, for he, Manny, said, I will go after my lovers. Why? Why are you doing that? Ask yourself. Think about maybe where is your lover? What is your lover? It might not even be a person. It might be a thing. Who do you run to when things get hard? I can just imagine it, you know, in a marriage, in a healthy marriage, you're supposed to support one another, right? When you're sad, when you're angry or whatever at, something else, definitely we always need to run to God, but your spouse is there to support you and to help you move along, help you move forward, to help you, in the end, get to heaven. But here, it says, I will run after my lovers, but catch this, this is where it shows the root issue. The misconception in their mind. It says, who gave me my bread and water, my wool and my linen, and my oil and my drink. Catch this. This is the misconception that Gomer or I have. Is that my lover is going to provide my basic necessities. My lover is going to provide my bread and water to fill my soul, to fill my need. They're going to provide me with the wool and linen to keep me warm and cool in the hot and cold days. They're going to provide me the oil and the drink that brings satisfaction and happiness to life. That is the misconception that Gomer had, that I had, and that maybe you have as well. Think about it. What is it? Because without looking inwardly, we can't solve the issues. With looking at the surface level saying, okay, you just need to stop running to the lovers. You need to stop going over there. That doesn't solve the issue. Because maybe they can keep going back in their hearts while being right next to you. Because maybe we do that to God sometimes. Maybe we're in His sanctuary. Maybe we're even on our knees on our devotions and our heart is elsewhere. And it makes me think, how can I solve this root and heart issue? For me, I really started thinking about it. Each one of us is like, let's just say like a car, okay? Make this illustration. Each one of us is like a car. What does a car need to run smoothly? Gas?
Engine.
Yeah, it needs an engine. Oil change?
Battery.
Maintenance? Right? Okay, but y'all don't drive cars out here. Y'all drive trucks in Texas, all right? I've never seen a place with more trucks in my life. Okay, I am from San Francisco area, Bay Area, California, and over there we ain't got no trucks. We got Teslas and Priuses. Okay, so out here, let's talk about trucks. Okay, so let's talk about these trucks. To get in a truck, to drive a good heavy-duty diesel. I got a student right here, Philip, and every time we drive by, he like salivates. Okay, he's from Michigan. Okay, he salivates at these trucks, all lined up in like when we're in the field. He's like, "Oh, that's a nice truck. That's a nice truck." I'm like, "Hey, focus. We're in the field." He's like, "Look at that lift." I'm like, "What? I don't even know what a lift is." He's a lift kit or something. Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm a California kid. But with this, he's looking at these trucks. But for a good, Super Duty truck to run, what kind of gas does it need? Regular gas? What happens when you put regular gas in that truck? Have you guys ever done that? No, you don't even want to, right? We actually have a big truck here. We have a truck, a 350 Super Duty Ford F-350. We have a big diesel truck, and before I got here, praise God, it wasn't me. Okay, I'm hands off on this one. But we had somebody go fill up the truck. Okay, and they get to the gas station and they're like, "All right, they're probably talking on the phone or whatever," and they get the pump and they put it in and just checking their Instagram and just putting gas in the truck, and they take it out, they put it back, and all of a sudden they start to drive away and they hear and they're like, "Oh shoot, what's going on?" Like, what? Like, this car's gonna explode, but why? And he's like driving a little bit farther and just, it's just like, it's all bad. And then he calls the boss super fast. He's like, "Dude, the car I don't know what's wrong with it. It's gonna break. It's gonna explode." And he's like, "What kind of gas did you put?" Oh, shoot. I'll talk to you later. Fortunately, he didn't drive away far enough for it to really destroy anything. We got it towed to the Ford dealership. They pumped out the regular gasoline and filled it with diesel. But we laugh at that, but so many times we try to fill our lives with regular gas when we are designed to carry diesel. Maybe we wonder, why is our life going tuk, 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 tuk? Why is my spiritual life going, why can't I control this? Why is my emotional and mental health going all over the place? And so many times it's because we're putting the wrong fuel into our lives, into our hearts. We're running to those lovers. We're running to that gasoline pump and putting in the wrong gas when we think, hey, it's gas, it's fine. All I need is to be filled. Right? All that matters is that the tank is full, right? No. The tank can be full, but it can be full of gas rather than diesel. We can think we are happy. We can think we are fulfilled. And although let's just say we are a gas tank right here. Although I might be filled and feel like I have stuff in my system to get me going, it can be the very things that are there to destroy me. I can be going to the wrong gas pump and filling up and saying, I was like, it doesn't matter which one I choose, God or my lovers, either one I'm going to be full. But one kills you and one fuels you. This deception is so big, but it's so rampant because so many of us miss it. So many of us think that the problem is out there rather than in here. So many of us think that the situation around us is what is causing us to go tuk, 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 tuk. But no, instead it is where we are running to put gas to deal with the situation. I'm speaking from experience here, guys.